Today's video, we're continuing the alternate future of the world series. Well, as we know in the last episode, Germany had collapsed from its height, with Italy and France expanding. Same with, what's that nation called? The Middle Eastern nation. Yeah. The Arab Republic, maybe? And now for another war with the China going to war with India to gain lands that their country once owned. Mostly what their war revolves upon, getting back what was there. And the Central Asian nation decides to join them. We have this nation and that nation join sides because they both want lands out of this. Because they both have a lot of past lands there. They decide to join the side that will guarantee them the most land. And well, you got Egypt joining this for fun, I guess. And then these two nations just join out of a hatred for that nation, yes. They still despise that nation. Even though it's like hundreds of years ago. Even thousands. Well, no, that's the wrong order. So let's go to the first offensive of the red team. They attack into northern Tibet, attack India, opening up the front over here as they launch another front over here. Unfortunately, it does not get its goal, so they launch more over here. And at the beginning, they're slowly pushing in. As they move in and reach the coast, this is where this nation finally launches its invasion of Myanmar. And they also invade this nation, gaining control of small lands, with this nation entering there, with them opening a full-on front. With this nation moving in against Central Asia, as they quickly advance and meet the Caspian Sea. With this nation deciding to launch an invasion of India, as they enter the southern part of India. And then they manage to occupy lands like this, as they quickly advance north, and quickly gain an advantage against the two nations, which they use to continue their advances. An offensive is launched by the blue team against this nation for one reason, because they want to. Now let's go to the Asian front. Yes, a small invasion's being launched, and a landing over here, with them quickly meeting up and encircling a big chunk of the army. Not really big, because most of it's in the main fronts. They advance a bit further. Then a full-on operation to take out Central Asia begins. You might think why, but that's not who they went to war with. Yeah, I know. Well, you can see them launching an offensive over here, creating a spearhead. These forces here also do with the goal of linking. With the forces here just concerned about gaining as much of a foothold as they can, as it basically meets up with the other forces, with them launching an offensive up to this water area and crossing it to do this, and then they continue this, with them having to withdraw forces from here, with the Russian nation also doing that. And well, Russian forces march right into where they are basically unable to supply. This nation realizes, well, time to fall back. And basically hope we last long enough to take our mighty nation back. As well, they are forced to retreat. As to them, they can try to hold in this area. And India finally launches an offensive, a counter-offensive over here, pushing back China's forces. China finally launching a counter-offensive here and quickly taking advantage over the lands they occupy, and they also sponsor a few rebels. Which means basically Korea is falling. No matter what they do, they kind of start crumbling. With a new offensive being opened against this nation, who despite all manages to hold on here strongly. And well, India faces another attack. With this nation viewing that they must do this, so they launch an offensive here. And they move all the way to the Suez Canal, with them cutting it off in a few areas and managing to get all the way to the Suez Canal. But India is still holding. And well, hearing that news, it's not very concerning yet. Then, well, this area gets retaken pretty quick. Well, they launch an offensive into a different area. Their goal is to incite revolt, with them managing to move into this. And well, after doing that, a rebel group in Bulgaria pops up. Yes, Bulgaria is where the rebels are. With the rebels in Bulgaria quickly gaining a foothold. With them holding on to it, they're holding it back, barely. And well, an anti-war group pops up, which wants the end of this war. They pop up in multiple areas. And they try to stop these, but that was their mistake. Because the advances got worse, sparking more than just one revolt. They may have got a Turkish revolt. Yes, another revolt. And them collapsing. As the Turkish revolt, the Bulgarian revolt, and the anti-war revolt weakens them steadily. With a Ukrainian revolt, yes. Another revolt. Them occupying Crimea and the southern area of what would be Ukraine. With Bulgarian rebels occupying all the way to here. And then they start moving north to see how far they can get. But at this point, this is what it begins to look like. As Turkish rebels pop up, it gets worse. No, it doesn't yet. The anti-war group starts occupying more land. As they basically create a nation. A pacifist group. Now a pro-Russian group popped up in the north. This really angered them, as Russian revolts aren't fun. With a few nations considering this is not great, as they managed to occupy Azerbaijan's areas. And they started another offensive to the south, with the Russian rebels deciding after they want to join Russia. The Turkish rebels occupying all the way to here. These rebels over here do something. And now for the Iranian rebellion. And now to check on the other front. Well, their front starts collapsing, and Everett gets mad at Russia, who decides to go into negotiations about a way out quicker. As their foothold in Central Asia weakens, with them being the only ones, they manage to get into peace talk. And due to not a great situation for them, they have to retreat all their troops in the region to here. This is what becomes their boundary, as they got kicked off. As they know they probably shouldn't be, as they start supporting the pro-Russia rebels. And well, Russia retreats pretty far, even out of the war. That's not right. And well, now as they have to retreat from all the way here, that's where they occupy. This nation launching an invasion of Iran. The Iranian rebels move around as they take over Iraq for some reason. With, well, the nation here being taken over by the pacifists who want a way out of this war. With this war starting to fail, well, as they're not losing any of their own territory, no one's really concerned. But they do realize this is over for them. Well, they manage to move up. A rebel group is slowly seeing if they should rise up and revolt or not. They're an anti-war group. Yes, pacifists. They want to get out of the war as fast as possible, believing that, well, the war is over. With them mostly rising up in the eastern area. Well, quickly no one can stop them, as they quickly form a formidable force. As they manage to quickly move and capture the capital, leading to the withdrawal of this war and of their forces from everywhere. Well, this means they have officially lost, but they don't lose much because they surrendered so soon. Now let's do the peace treaty. We're created in the peace treaty. We got Bulgaria, Ukraine annexed land, Russia annexed their rebels, Turkey is back, yeah, got Iran, and then the rest is just the pacifist group. And then, as you can see, this is what Egypt did. Not much. And well, the nation that lost the most lands would be Thailand, because they lost their northern and eastern part, and northern and western part. Well, Central Asia doesn't change from when Russia left. And no other nation gains lands off of, well, China, because they surrendered so early. And well, Romanian forces are angry. Serbian forces are happy, I guess. As we have our first alliance formed since the world froze. It's more so about resources. Bosnia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Hungary, and Greece. Serbia is too angry to join. And well, the Russian nation's still eyeing more expansion in Europe. Well, that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe.